Welcome back to another video. 5 things that we learned from Manchester City's oh so satisfying 3-2 win away at St James's Park against Newcastle United. Guys, it was really good. I've not stopped thinking about Kevin De Bruyne and this game of football all day. Sometimes a game of football comes around that just hits you and reminds you exactly why you love football in the first place. The passion, the adversity, the despair, and then the joyful glee of a last-minute winner by an academy player. Honestly, that game had absolutely everything. One for the neutrals, which is not something that you can often say from Manchester City games over the past few years because it's been very one-sided, but this was a proper slugfest of a game. The City were the better side and deserved it, but Newcastle absolutely gave City a little bit of a scare at times. It turned out to be a cracking game of football. Of course, there is loads to take from this game. If you want pure, unfiltered joy, go watch my reactions in the watch-long. If you want exasperation and glee at full time, go watch my match reaction. And of course, if you want the views of some more blues, go watch the fan view live from last night. Loads of cracking content on the channel. And of course, if you want to see more on this channel, please do hit the like button. And please do, of course, subscribe to the channel. It does help support me. I'm only 800 off 70k now. I want to get to 70k. I'm also only a few, like 100 off 100,000 followers on Twitter, which is absolutely insane. Not even that. I think I'm 90 followers off 100,000 on Twitter. So if I get to there as well, that would be ridiculous. Go and give me a follow over on Twitter at Stephen McInerney, or subscribe to the channel while you're there. It's massively appreciated. Hello to Paolo, to Nicholas, to Dead President, and Onami in the chat as well. You guys are superstars. I don't know how you're feeling today. I'm still absolutely reeling from that game of football. United, of course, being naff as always today is absolutely great fun. Of course, they got the point against Spurs, but they were so poor, and it's satisfying to witness. But as you can see from the title of this video, I've gone big on this one. I've gone big on this one because I think it's true, actually. I'll go for the first thing that we learned from this game of football, because I'm going to say it with my chest out. Sometimes you got to say what you believe in, you know? Sometimes you got to say what you believe in, and this is what I believe in. I am bored of pretending otherwise. KDB is the Premier League's greatest of all time. He is the GOAT. Now, I may understand arguments that suggest other people are as good as him, potentially. There are some phenomenal footballers in the history of the Premier League. Thierry Henry is right up there, representing Arsenal, of course. And you get someone like Frank Lampard or John Terry for Chelsea. Even United fans would argue for Wayne Rooney or Scholes or whatever. Or even Cristiano Ronaldo, despite being short, in terms of impact of longevity in the Premier League. But I would say KDB is the Premier League's greatest. I think he's at the top. People could tie with him maybe, but I think in terms of sheer natural talent and what he's achieved in the Premier League and his impact and what he can do, I think he's a magician. Insanely consistent and absolutely deserving of the superstar legendary status that he's getting. Yesterday felt to me like the return of the king. It felt weird just to watch him come back and take the game by the scruff of the neck. And he got me thinking about legacies. And he got me thinking about how much a legacy is down to popularity or big memorable moments. So much of football is about the narrative. You can have the most trophies and still not be seen as the best player, because that's how football works. I know others have got more league titles than him, but the point I'm making is a general one about perception and popularity being based on so much more than just stats. KDB has the stats to back it up. He's by far the most natural creator the Premier League has ever seen. Like by every single metric in terms of per 90, Kevin De Bruyne is a freak that way. He's out on his own in terms of creativity. He's the greatest attacking midfielder this league has seen, hands down. But that aura that he's got has transcended into Thierry Henry levels of brilliance on the pitch, where you expect a man to come on and just do wonderful things. And yesterday, it felt exciting, thrilling even, to watch the return of Kevin De Bruyne, because so much had been built up around the title race about the return of Kevin De Bruyne. You had Jurgen Klopp, a modern great, an all-time great of a manager, with that now iconic quote, Kevin De Bruyne is warming up and the Premier League is shaking. Do you know how much that feeds into his aura? And what you needed is Kevin De Bruyne to come back and show how special he was. Kevin De Bruyne having 20 minutes and doing nothing would have sort of destroyed the narrative a little bit. But no, Kevin De Bruyne stepped up, looking good, looking fresh, looking happy, and came on when Manchester City were desperate need of brilliance. And he turned a game around away at St James's Park. And I know Newcastle haven't been great this season, but that is still seen as one of the hardest places to go in football in the Premier League. and single-handedly, with moments of intense magic, turn the game around. It was the return of the king. It was the master stepping back into the action, sitting on his throne and looking down at all those who are subservient to him. There are some phenomenal players in this league, and honestly, Kevin De Bruyne, to me, showed why he is. I think he sits at the top of the table. I understand Arsenal fans and maybe United fans and Chelsea fans and so on having a claim to it, but no, Kevin De Bruyne, I don't think there's anyone better than him. I absolutely do not think there's anyone more talented in the history of the Premier League than Kevin De Bruyne. An absolute freak of nature. Genuinely a stunningly good footballer. And that feels weird for me to say as a David Silva fan, as an Aguero fan. But David Silva might be Manchester City's best player. But is he the Premier League's greatest player? No. I think Kevin De Bruyne has a bigger legacy in the Premier League. I think Kevin De Bruyne... The most intelligent footballer I've ever seen in the Premier League is David Silva. But the greatest in terms of impact in the game, it probably is Kevin De Bruyne. I think it absolutely is. Like, the thing is about him as well, he's a big moment player. Like, I think he's astonishing. And I feel proud to be able to say this. And I think we've reached a point now where it's not ridiculous to say it. I understand arguments for Henry. I understand arguments for Rooney or Ronaldo or Beckham or Scholes or whatever, or Gerrard, Lampard. I can't ever tell these fans of their team that they're wrong, but I hand on heart believe now that no one can tell me I'm wrong either. Kevin De Bruyne has as strong a shout as anyone, and I think that's what makes him such a special footballer. I love it. Guys, get the likes up for Kevin De Bruyne. He absolutely deserves it. And subscribe while you're at it as well. And I agree that he doesn't change the issue of control. Absolutely. I saw Sam Lee talking about it on Twitter yesterday as well. I saw that. He doesn't change the control issue. But I think the control issue is actually sorted. And I'll get to that why in a bit. But what Kevin does bring you is the X factor. The reason teams... win leagues as often as Manchester City do is because of people like Kevin De Bruyne. A lot of teams win leagues, but no one else goes for 5 out of 6. That is just not done very often. If that's to be done, you need truly special players. De Bruyne is a truly special player. It's one of the reasons why we're winning what we are winning and why we've dominated football over the past decade or so. A truly special player. And hopefully, we've just witnessed the birth of another. Oscar Bobb has truly arrived. We've been talking on this channel and amongst ourselves as City fans for an awful long time about Oscar Bobb's rise through the ranks. Now, I don't know about you guys, but every time I see a match day lineup, I immediately look to the bench. And I've been categorizing the bench players for some time now. I've got 3 different categories of player. The first category is absolutely he will come on. Definitely come on first team option. The second one, yeah, maybe we need them, they'll come on. You know, and I'm talking here, first kind of player is Grealish will come on, absolutely if he need to. De Bruyne's got to come on if he's on the bench. You know, Doku's got to come on if he's on the bench. You know what I'm on about. Bernardo will come on if he's on the bench. Alvarez will come on. The second one, if we need them, right now, it's people like Rico Lewis. Even Mateus Nunes, unfortunately, is in that category. You know the ones I'm on about, the ones that he's going to use. And the third category has been, they'll only come on if we're 4-0 up and Pep's feeling generous. And we're talking about the youth players, Calvin Phillips, Sergio Gomez. They are the categories. This season, Oscar Bobb is stepping up those categories. At the start of the season, Oscar Bobb is in the third category. He'll come on if we need him. Nunes and people like that then Oscar Bobb now has stepped up to the second category very quickly of, do you know what, he might be an option. And now I think Oscar Bobb is actually touching to that first category where he's going to come on. Oscar Bobb has got to the point where he's truly arrived. Like, honestly, I feel like the magic that he's shown recently, the fact that he's changing the game and affecting it, Oscar Bobb, I look at the bench now and go, yeah, he's probably going to come on. He's reached that point where he's a real option. Really, absolutely an option. And the more that happens, to me, that's like signing a new player. It's like we've got an academy lad. He's just become, yeah, he's up there with Doku or Grealish on the bench. I feel he's getting to the point where I feel he's just as likely to come on as a Doku or Grealish if he's on the bench. That is scary because that means all of a sudden our squad gets better. Our squad has just got better over the past month or two because Oscar Bobb has reached a level that Cole Palmer never did at Manchester City. Cole Palmer is a fantastic player. I love him, but Pep never took him from category 3. Cole Palmer was touching category 2, but he never got definitely into category 2. And Bobb's at 2, touching 1 already. And that's not necessarily Cole Palmer's fault. But Oscar Bobb, for whatever reason, has got there. And to me, I'm very excited by that. He's truly arrived. That incredible goal to win it at St. James's Park, the mettle that you have to have, the focus, the ability, the fearlessness that you have to take that touch in the last minute of the game. Do you know how many players, do you know how many elite level players faff there and mess that chance up? You're talking people who've won leagues mess that chance up, you know? We've seen it from Manchester City players. We've seen people like Sterling and Jesus miss big chances when it's mattered. We've seen even Haaland miss sitters, but the touch and the quality, only a few players in the league can score that goal at the end. I honestly believe that. And Oscar Bobb's just outed himself as one of them. Now, of course, I'm going to be realistic. Oscar Bobb has still got an awful lot to prove. He's got a long way to become a starter in this Manchester City side, simply because he's only 20 years old. He's got a lot to learn. But when you see moments of magic like that, it's very hard not to think Oscar Bobb has truly arrived here. Oscar Bobb has just announced himself to a watching world of millions of people just how special he is. Pep Guardiola looked at this Manchester City side. They were potentially going to drop 2 points maybe 3 points in a title race, and he brought on De Bruyne, and then he thought, do you know what, I'm going to bring on Oscar Bobb, not Jack Grealish or anyone else, Mateus Nunes. No, I'm going to bring on Oscar Bobb, this 20-year-old Norwegian kid who's still got so much to learn, a man cutting his teeth in football, wet behind the ears, green still, very green, yet no, he brought him on. And Oscar Bobb did something magical. He did something special. That touch to go past Kieran Trippier, he could have gone down under immense pressure. And then the croqueta, as it's called, from left foot to right foot to put it in the net against the man who was having a worldie in goal in Dubravka. That is truly special stuff. Honestly, 99% of footballers cannot do that. If Oscar Bobb can do that on a regular basis and take that quality into a game, you've got an elite level player. We've got a minimum level Mahrez player here. I really think he has. That skill is absolutely wonderful. And I think we're witnessing the birth of someone who could be a really special footballer. I see Oscar Bobb and I think, have we got a guy who's going to reach Mahrez, Foden, Sane levels? I think he is, you know. I think he is. And that, to me, is scary stuff. Once again, guys, give the video a like for Oscar Bobb. 150 people watching, 43 likes. You can do better. Do better for Oscar Bobb. Kovacic frees Rodri. Now, I tweeted last night about Kovacic, saying he's excellent right now for Rodri, the perfect partner for him. And I think people took that as me saying Kovacic should be the long-term partner for Rodri going forward. I didn't mean that. What I meant right now is when I look at Manchester City's squad, Kovacic is absolutely the best option for Manchester City right now alongside Rodri. And I think Rodri said the same. I think people get caught up very much on what Kovacic can't do as opposed to what he can do. I understand that Kovacic will never be a great assister or a great goal scorer, but when I've watched Kovacic recently, and at his very best in the Manchester City shirt, when he's been at his best, he's such a perfect foil for Rodri. And as much as I want to see Foden and De Bruyne ahead of Rodri, I actually don't think it's going to happen very often. I think what we're going to see is Kovacic sitting alongside Rodri, because I think Kovacic allows Rodri the freedom that is really, 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 really essential for this Manchester City side. He simply does not give the ball away. Now, I know someone will go, I saw him give the ball away a few times yesterday. What you're referring to is that moment of 15 minutes where City lost their heads. It did happen. I can admit that Kovacic gave the ball away a couple of times in that when he backheeled it and he ran into people a couple of times. But we all lost our heads collectively as City. But the City side did during that. But when you take that 10 minutes away from the game and you look at his stats, he gave the ball, I think he completed all but 2 of his passes. It was like 79 out of 81. It's ridiculous accuracy. And he's tenacious and he's tough. And right now, the balance is so much better. The reason that City was so good yesterday, and City were excellent yesterday, by the way, they controlled that game for 80 minutes out of the 95 that we played. They were excellent, City. Absolutely were, other than that 15 minutes of madness. And the reason that they did it is because largely Bernardo Silva and Kovacic were taking turns with Rodri to anchor that midfield and provide that control. We controlled that midfield away at St. James's Park, and it was a big part of it. And I think we probably underestimate what Kovacic allows Rodri to do. Rodri is so good going forward. That little dribble, by the way, when Rodri did a little kind of step over, went past someone and tried to put it in Yaya style. Rodri has so much ability going forward that I am fine with Kovacic playing because he's naturally intelligent enough to sit back a little bit and be tough. And when Rodri attacks, He's brilliant. He's got Gundogan-esque traits. He really has. There's a little bit of Yaya and a bit of Gundogan to Rodri when he goes forward. And, of course, it allows Kevin De Bruyne to do what he wants as well. So I think Kovacic is a real natural foil right now. Bernardo didn't play out wide. He drifted central an awful lot. I think him and Foden took turns to sort of occupy that space. But Bernardo was playing very, very, very central at times. And I think it just works. Kovacic may not be a sexy signing. Well, he's a very beautiful man, to be fair to him. But that image looks very FIFA. Does anyone else think that looks very video gamey? I can't explain it. It looks very video gamey. But it may not be the most exciting signing. It may not be Rice or Bellingham or even Paqueta. But I think for £25 million, pushing £30 million, he's been a smart signing. And I think he allows De Bruyne and Foden and so on to do very wonderful things. And I like it. I like what I saw from Kovacic yesterday. Yep, absolutely. I liked it an awful lot. The fourth thing that we took from this game is that the 4P is absolutely on. Look, I saw people saying at halftime, if we lose this game, the league may be over, which was, of course, an overreaction. If you haven't learned by now that 5 points is nothing with his 15 to 20 games left or whatever it is, I don't know how many games there are left. If you've not learned that by now, you're never going to learn it. The City side does not give up until we're absolutely out of it. But I understood the anxiety. There's 18 games left. 5 points would have been enough to rule us out. But I understood why people felt like it would have been too much to chase Liverpool side. I don't think it would have been, but I understood why people were frustrated. But what we needed to see was a reaction from this City side. We needed to see this City side make a statement win. We needed to see City just fight back after their self-implosion with poor quality goals conceded and a 5-minute double blow from Newcastle. And what we saw yesterday was a Manchester City side absolutely dripping in hunger and thirst and desire. That insatiable urge to win is clearly still there. This City side had the fire in their bellies. They looked at themselves in the mirror at half-time and they came out and played a near impeccable half of football. I was absolutely giddy at full-time yesterday because I saw that Manchester City side come out and answer all the questions that every single City fan had at half-time. It was a really stupidly good half of football. It was focused, it was steely, it was determined. They were absolutely strongly set on answering any questions that City had given themselves in the first half, and they did it so wonderfully. The 4P is absolutely on, and of course we all saw the sign on the wall of the CFA saying no Premier League team has ever won the league 4 times in a row, ... yet. This team is not scared of letting the world know about that because this team sets targets that others simply do not. I saw a Manchester City side yesterday celebrating at full time that knows that this league is there for the taking yet again. We are 2 points behind Liverpool. And honestly, I tweeted yesterday I think we're going to win the league. I do think we're going to win the league. I think we're going to win the league. I could be wrong. Of course I could be wrong. And this video could throw back up in my face. It could be blown back up in my face. But I don't care. I've seen enough to believe in this Manchester City side. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. But my honest prediction right now is it's going to. I just feel that the City side absolutely wants it. And when you've got the quality, the returning quality of Kevin De Bruyne, and the soon to be hopefully returning quality of Haaland, Erling Haaland, he's played for 2 months now. And then John Stones and Akanji to come back. Edison's on the injury list now as well, of course. Look, I have to believe in this side. The hunger is clearly there. We've got young players making a name for themselves. Enrico Lewis, and Jeremy Doku's a young player, and Oscar Bobb, and Josko Vardiol is a young player. I know he's a world established international, but he's still a young player. For me, I think it's there. I think it's going to happen. And I've talked a lot of positivity about KDB. I've talked about having he's the greatest. I've talked about Oscar Bobb arriving. And I've talked about Kovacic freeing up Rodri nicely, how I think the 4P's on. So I've got to sort of end it on a slightly lesser note because I think we have to be realistic. It's been a very bad week for Kyle Walker. His form continues to go up and down. I want to immediately get the positive out of the way. I thought his reaction to that first half was really, really, really good. You could tell that Kyle Walker was a man trying to make amends for what was a very poor half of football. A very poor half an hour of football, 20 minutes of football. For whatever reason, Kyle Walker's in a really strange season right now. It could be the captain's armband. It could be his age catching up to him. It could be his mistakes off the pitch. I think it's been very publicly played out that Kyle Walker, his wife, has left him. I think by his own mistakes, his own infidelity, which is not a good look for the captain of Manchester City Football Club. I don't tend to get too bogged down in that stuff. It's something, obviously, I don't like in a person. I'd never do that myself. I've never been that. I pride myself on all that kind of stuff, and I can hand on heart say, I think it's a shameless, selfish thing to do. But I'm not stupid. Footballers like Tony Soprano, when you see the Sopranos and they have this sort of unspoken agreement with their partners, and they can sort of get away with what they want to as long as they don't cross a line, and they live a millionaire's wag lifestyle. They have that. It goes on with footballers. I don't like it, but it does. But for whatever reason, he's obviously crossed the line there, and he shows his maturity isn't really up there. But at the same time, I don't sort of care, because footballers are all at it. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. There's a lot of idiocy and immaturity in football. So I'm not going to judge him too much. But when he's the captain, and then when he has his form up and down, and when he's having bad press, and then he's having a bad performance, I understand people's frustrations. And Kyle Walker really does sort of need to look at himself, in a week where people have been looking at him an awful lot. He had a really bad half of football. He did get a good assist. I've got to give that credit as well. But he had, he did have a really bad 20 minutes where I don't mind players making mistakes, but for me, the inexcusable behaviour is always jogging backwards. Anthony Gordon is one of the most informed wingers in the league, and he essentially gave Anthony Gordon that chance by giving him 5-10 yards just to run, sort of without any pressure. If he'd gone across to Anthony Gordon so much earlier, that goal simply does not happen. And I think Kyle Walker knew, and I think Guardiola knew as well. To me, there was a footage of Guardiola sort of kind of hugging Kyle Walker at full time. And that hug to me sort of was, it was sort of about redemption. You could tell that Guardiola was sort of supporting him for the second half display in the turnaround, because Kyle Walker came out in the second half much better, much more aggressive, much more focused. He was part of a back line that was nearly impeccable in that second half, and he was absolutely determined to make amends. You could tell with some of his runs forward and his work rate. Kyle, I do worry that the captain's armband has made him feel comfortable. Not necessarily lazy, but comfortable. And maybe giving us a sort of inflated aura of invincibility that maybe isn't always justified for any player, And I think maybe it was a bit of a rude awakening for him, because Isak and Gordon, they just dropped big L's on his head, if we're being honest, man. But either way, I'm not going to dig down too much in Kyle Walker. He's had a bad week. He showed all the good and the bad of Kyle Walker in one game. I'm sure he will fix it. Guys, they're the 5 things that we talked about. I don't want to end too much on the bad note there. But KDB, I do think he's the Premier League greatest. If you don't think he's the greatest, let me know why. Let me know down in the comments. Oscar Bobb has absolutely arrived. He has a phenomenal footballer. Kovacic frees Rodri. The 4P is on. And, of course, Kyle Walker's bad week. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. I'm very appreciative of all the views on the videos. Please hit the like on the channel. It does help support this video. And subscribe while you're at it as well. Check out my match reaction yesterday if you want to see more content from me. I was exasperated. I was giddy. I was happy. I was living my best life yesterday. It's massively appreciated for you guys and all the support I've had right now. I'm loving it. It's great fun. I'll show you right now where you can go to what you can catch out. Where is it? 1 second. Yep. Head over here and you can catch the fan view live yesterday. It was great fun chatting to several City fans. Of course, my gleeful reaction and the watch long is Chaos 2. Go and check out those videos. For now, though, have a wonderful evening, Blues. You're all awesome. In a bit, love you all loads. Bye. Sorry, Dylan, who's missed the stream. Thank you to everyone, by the way, who's been chatting away to Oname, Josh, Marcus, Evan, Cyan Mays, Paul, Carl, a lot of them. Sorry I didn't get to your comments. I'm just a bit tired right now tonight because that did me in yesterday. In a bit, bye-bye.